Good evening, everybody, and welcome to our council meeting. If you'd all please stand and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Aaron, would you please take the roll?
Councilmember Gray.
Here.
Councilmember Schmidt.
Here.
Councilmember Dittrich.
Here.
Councilmember Pointer.
Here.
And Councilmember Sherburne will be arriving shortly.
Yeah, he's got to lock up tonight. Okay. First item, we have the agenda, approval of the agenda, and I was visiting with Aaron. We have no minutes from any of the city reports and so forth, so we need to remove item 3.3.
I meant to do that. I apologize.
That's okay. So I would look for a motion to approve the agenda with the amendment. I would move to approve. Okay.
I'll second it.
Linda, yes. Joe,
Yes.
Marion,
Yes.
and Brian.
Yes.
Okay, and are they here yet, or we'll move on? Okay, we'll move on. Okay, next is public input period. Please come to the podium if you have anything to say. Please state your name and address for the record before proceeding with your comments. Individual remarks are limited to 5 minutes, with the overall public input period limited to 30 minutes. Under Iowa Open Meetings Law, the City Council can take no formal action on comments given during public input period which do not relate to action items on the agenda. Now, I want to remind everybody, this is going to be a little weird tonight. This is public input if you have something to say to us, but I do know there's some people here at the dog park. I see the shirts and stuff tonight. They are on the agenda. I am going to allow them, representatives, to come up here so the council can ask questions more directly to them of those. So we'll save that for later, but if there's anybody else who would like to speak to the council about something, you're more than welcome to come forward. Because it will not be a public input period at that time. It'll just be your representative. Okay. Anybody else have anything you want to say? Okay, hearing no public input, I'm going to go ahead and close the public input period. All right, before us, we have the consent agenda. We need approval of the minutes of the November 25th, 2024 regular city council meeting. Need a motion to approve that. Need a motion to adopt resolution 131, approving the bills and the expense report. I need a motion to acknowledge the receipt, or we took that one off, the liquor license for the Delaware County Fair Society. Need a motion to approve the downtown incentive program for Kayla Kamiller at 116 North Franklin Street. Need a motion to adopt resolution 132, amending the salary, and that is for a new police officer who's joining us, Bessie, and that was the only one, right? Mm-hmm. The next, I need a motion to approve the payment of claims totaling $16,939.52 to Fur Graham for engineering services. $13,939 of that is for the street improvement project, and $3,000 is for an independent fee estimate. And then I need a motion to adopt resolution 133, and that's amending the employee handbook regarding holidays. So their city and the libraries are matching. I'll take a motion and a second, and then we can open it up for discussion.
I move for approval of the consent agenda.
Okay. Any questions, comments, concerns? Okay, hearing none. Marianne?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
And Linda?
Yes.
Okay. Next, we have a public hearing, and it's 5:04. And I'm opening a public hearing on the proposed amendment to the urban renewal plan for the Manchester urban renewal area. And I'm going to let you speak to this, Tim.
Basically, we are looking to do a development agreement with West Schulte for the development of 2 12-plex apartment complexes. As a requirement under Iowa law, we are using the TIF, tax increment financing, which we are for tax rebates on the development agreement with Mr. Schulte. We have to have a public hearing on the use of the funds and how we are using it. Spell it out, what funding will be used for. And since this is for tax rebate, meaning he pays the taxes, and then we rebate a portion of the taxes back to him.
This is a time the public can ask any questions or raise any concerns or about the, regarding this, yes. Okay, hearing none, at 5:05, I'm going to close the public hearing. And before us, we have resolution 134, and it's to approve the urban renewal plan amendment for the Manchester urban renewal area. I'll entertain a motion in a second.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Any further comments or questions from the council? Okay, Joe,
Yes.
Mary Ann?
Yes.
Linda?
Yes.
Brian? And Bill?
Yes.
Okay. Next, we have a motion to adopt resolution 135, and that's approving the amended development agreement with West Schulte.
Yes, we are amending the development agreement we approved earlier this year with Mr. Schulte on the single 12-plex unit, because he completed that faster than we anticipated. The full value of that will come on the tax rolls effective January 1st, 2025. Initially, we thought it wouldn't come on full until January 1st, 2026. So by amending it, moving it back, so it starts 2025, he'll have his first full tax payment in fall of 26. So this just moves up, so the collection moves faster or starts it earlier. And it's still 10 years, 85% a tax rebate.
Okay. With that, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve. I'll second
Thanks. Joe,
Yes.
Brian,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Mary Ann, and Linda. Yes. Okay, and then we have a motion to adopt resolution 136 to set January 13th, 2025 at 5 p.m. as the date and time for a public hearing on the proposed development agreement with West Schulte in connection with his development of the 2 12-plex multifamily housing dwelling units.
The council has approved the urban renewal plan amendment, which allows for the development agreement. We now need to set a public hearing on the development agreement. And so what resolution 136 does is it sets that public hearing for 5 o'clock on January 13th.
I'll make a motion to adopt.
I'll second that. Okay. Any further questions? Okay, Bill,
Yes.
Linda. Yes. Brian,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
and Mary Ann.
Yes.
Okay. Yep, I am going to pass this off and let Mary Ann do the next part because this actually involves my family's property, so I'm going to step back.
Continue with this, or do you want me?
Oh, we can stop real quick. Is that okay? I see you have some family here. Is that great? All right. Yeah. Is that okay if we stop here?
Yeah.
Everybody? Okay. So I'd like to introduce everybody to Matt or Jesse Bartowski. I said it right. Okay. Anyway, he's the new officer here today and we're going to swear him in. So if you'll give us that moment, you want to just come over here by the flag and we'll get that done. And then I can follow. Okay. Okay. Ready for this? You want to tell everybody where you hail from?
We just moved up here about a week ago from South Carolina. So the big change here with the weather.
Yeah. Okay, I just need you to raise your right hand. All right, I, Jesse Bartowski,
I, Jesse Barkowski,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and that of the state of Iowa,
and that of the state of Iowa,
and that to the best of my knowledge and ability,
and that to the best of my knowledge and ability,
I will perform all the duties of
I'll perform all the duties of
a police officer,
a police officer
okay, of the said city of Manchester, Iowa.
of the said city of Manchester, Iowa.
All
So,
right, and just- Oh, and he's a lefty. Okay. There we go. All right, welcome aboard.
thank you.
All right, thank you.
Sure, family picture.
Yeah, do you want to get a picture? I hear you like scooters.
Yes.
I do too.
Yes. Thank you.
Did you want to do a picture with us and?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, we'll do one with us.
You need
too.
this for tomorrow.
Yeah, you need that for tomorrow. You want to be official. You gotta get it badge on. You want to put it on? Put it
Yeah,
on.
absolutely.
Do it just like in the service then. Stick 'em a little bit. I'll reach in there. I'm gonna try to do you up, no problem. There you go.
All right, we have just, I'll get on this side, you can get right in the middle, somebody can get up.
Sorry. That's it, you're good flash photography. Perfect.
Thank you for being so good. Yeah, all right, thank you.
Cheers in a way.
Oh, no, thank you.
Thank you, everybody. All right, so I'm gonna switch over and let Mary Ann take over for this next part.
Okay, first thing we have is a public hearing on an application for a combination of adjoining lots pursuant to city code section 170.36.
I'll sit out the audience for.
Okay, the public hearing will start at 5:11. Tim, you have anything you would like to say?
Yep.
That people.
This is the second example of our combining lots that we adopted here recently. Bankins are looking to combine a lot behind, the house, located on South 10th Street. I don't have the address. But they're right behind each other, so again, this is a chance for us to show that the ordinance does work. It's an easier way to combine them without having to replat them.
Is there anyone from the audience that would like to say anything?
No, you want to just explain it to them?
Come on up, John.
He's shy.
Tell us
Alright,
who you
it's-
are, please, and where you
It's just a garden plot,
name
John Bankin,
and address, please.
304 East Marion.
Thank you.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Anyway, it's my father's property and it's his garden plot that's right behind the property on Cama Street. And that property has been halved over the years. He owns half, the other guy owns half behind that. So we're just wanting to combine the whole thing so that it's all under one roof. More or less.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Would anyone else like to speak? Okay, we're gonna close the public hearing at 5:13, and we have before us a resolution 137, asking to approve the combination of these adjoining lots under a common ownership. I need a motion and a
I move
second.
to approve.
I'll second it.
So, take the vote. Linda,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Brian,
Yes.
and I also vote yes.
Thank you.
And you're up again.
I'm up again. Yep. All right. Thank you, everybody. Okay, next. I need a motion to adopt resolution 137 and that'll approve.
Nope, we didn't.
We already, oh, you got all that done.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. We're on to the next part. Well done there. Dog park fencing. So this item's coming back before the city council. The council had asked for additional information related to the park regarding rules and regulations and so forth. And so we asked to have this put back on here. And I had said that we would invite the dog park people to come back here so they could speak to us. So I don't know who your spokesperson is. Do you want to come and talk to us first? And then questions can be asked.
So my name is Kevin Geis, 712 East Main. City of Manchester resident, obviously, and member of the Dog Park Committee here. We just wanted to start by saying thank you to our city council members for raising some very important issues and concerns last meeting in regards to the development of the dog park. My goal tonight is to address some of these concerns. It's my hope that the city council will feel not only more confident in this community effort, but also feel inspired to be a part of this exciting journey with us. To start off, I'm happy to announce that to date, our committee has now raised nearly $70,000 in donations from a large set of individual, organizational, and business contributors. The effort to have a dog park in Manchester goes back at least a decade. The 2022 Manchester Hometown Pride Wish List Survey named the dog park as the #2 desired amenity in the city. Thus far, the city has provided the land for the dog park site with the intent of developing the site into a dog park. The site has been cleared of trees, the ground seeded, a watering system put in, a gravel parking lot put into place, and here we are today. An outline of the rules was requested and has been included with the agenda packet for this meeting. These rules derive from the experiences of other successful dog parks in the area. These rules are currently provisional and are subject to modifications for a time to gauge their effect once the dog park has been opened. It's expected that the dog park will need minimal labor and upkeep, roughly 1 to 2 hours per week of labor through Park and Rec. With any project, there are some unknowns. The overwhelming response from our community, though, for this dog park says that it's not something that we can afford to ignore. It's been a privilege to work with my fellow committee members on this project. Knowing firsthand how committed and dedicated that they are, I can confidently say the dog park committee will continue to exist not only to manage the dog park after opening, but also to carry out fundraising efforts to ensure an ongoing inflow of funds for the park. The current plans are for the dog park committee to conduct extensive cleanup at the site twice per year as a supplement to the city's maintenance. A lot of our city's residents have smaller yards or apartments and need a place for their dogs to get some exercise off leash. The dog park would provide this needed space and would become a center for our community members to socialize. Amenities like the dog park are the very things which attract families, businesses, and a workforce to the area. At the end of the day, the Manchester Dog Park is not just about dogs. It's about the people of Manchester. Our committee and all our supporters are trying to build a stronger city and a stronger community. A city that other communities look up to and want to emulate. The dog park is a crucial part of the future of Manchester and its growth, its competitiveness, and I would argue its vitality as well. I would call on our city council members to let this dog park be a part of the future Manchester that we're saying yes to. Thank you.
All right. Anybody have any questions for? And I know that everybody received we've received a lot of emails, and we've received a lot of letters recently. And we've got those, everybody's gotten the copies of those. I think we reached out to Jim Peters.
Yeah, Jim Peters has dropped off, a memorandum on issues with the dog park. I think there's actually tonight.
Yeah.
Jim's here to answer any questions you may have.
You do have another speaker. Oh, you do have another speaker? Okay.
My name is Cindy Gorski. My address is 100 Meadowbrook Trail. I also am a member of the Dog Park Committee, and thank you for this opportunity to speak. The last 2 summers, we have been attending most Saturday mornings at the farmers market. And because of this, we have raised over $12,000 just from the farmers market alone. And people have expressed a positive interest in the dog park, and they've also asked about the status of the dog park. As well as that, I just appreciate, or we appreciate, the ongoing support of the community. Thank you.
I do have a comment. Mary Ann, you and Bill should have pushed that through a vote because it actually should have been tabled rather, because it caused a lot of misinformation. Like, we're shutting down the dog park completely and people were mad. If it would have been tabled, I think that would have alleviated all of that extra stuff that happened.
I can safely say I did not anticipate 3 of you voting against it. When I made the motion, I made it assuming that it was going to be a 5-0 vote because I thought that we all had the faith in Doug and in the dog park people, that if they had done the work, which I knew they had because I've been watching them for several years, that we would all agree that they knew what they were doing. And I just assumed I should not have. I am sorry if I assumed something that I should not have. But my belief was when I brought that to a vote, that it would be 5-0 vote. So
I didn't
I
feel,
misunderstood because no one had said anything against it at that point when I brought the vote. Then it was discussed. So you have to bring it to a vote first for the discussion to start. That's what we did. And the discussion showed me that I was wrong in making my assumption, so.
I voted on a chain link fence is what the agenda item was for. At a bid of $24,969 from Central Iowa Fencing. The money for the $24,969 was coming from the dog park committee. So when I voted, I was voting to buy a fence. I didn't know there was questions on buying a fence. I could have swore that's what the agenda item was for buying a fence. Was the fence gonna be installed this year? If I remember correctly, Doug told us no, not till probably spring of next year. But buying the fence at this time, it's such a great deal. I thought we couldn't hardly go wrong. Was the fence being installed tomorrow or next week? No. So I'm sorry, I was voting for a fence.
okay, well, I don't think you recall, there was a lot of discussion between other members of the board that were not on board with that because they wanted more information before we even pursued the fence. We wanted that taken care of first. So that's why I think it should have been tabled. I think you guys kind of rushed into it and.
I don't remember that conversation ever happening, that there was any, I mean, the only thing that I've ever heard about is how much water are we spending on the lawn being watered? That's the only thing I've heard almost throughout the whole summer. That was the only thing that I heard, and if I missed something, I apologize, but that's the only thing that I ever heard. I never heard anything brought up at any other meeting. And I'll go back and I'll watch the meetings to find out that talked about, what are gonna be the rules? You know, what's this, what's that? The only thing I ever heard was how much, or why are you still watering this? That's the only thing I ever heard.
But at the last meeting, we talked about, we wanted to use and stuff.
I know, but I brought it up for, we always do motion second, then we have discussion. So they couldn't have done that, tabled it, when they didn't know what you guys, what the other questions were, what the other questions
I
were.
didn't get a chance to table this, so.
Well, she said it first, so, I mean, we have that every night, somebody says a motion, so it's just whoever says it first,
All right,
but.
okay, well, it was just our main concern, my main concern why I voted not for the fencing at the time of the meeting is we didn't have any clear cut rules. Doug hadn't brought any rules. And just, we'll do it, we'll figure the rules out as go is a very good, way of doing something, so.
Yeah,
That's understandable.
and I agree. I mean, I thought,
So,
had this presentation been presented
mm,
in this manner tonight, as it was, you know, I think we would have had a better idea of where we were at. Going into it blindly, I realized it was just, you know, we're voting on a fence, but there's a lot more to this than just the fence. And I'm glad to see that we do have our ducks in a row as far as how everything is gonna be structured.
Yeah, that's
And I
very good.
really, really appreciate the fact that it's not gonna be just another slam dam. We got what we wanted. And then we're gonna walk away from it. We're gonna put our name on it and walk away. I'm glad to hear that the city and the taxpayers, the 5,000 plus taxpayers are going to hopefully have some assistance in furthering this dog park, and that means a lot. That changes the whole spectrum for me. You know, because I sit here elected by the city, not, you know, by the people in the city, and that's who I look out for, and that's my best interest. You know, I always am portrayed like I'm a bad guy in here, but I'm really not. I look for the protection of the city, you know, and the taxpayers. You know, that's what we're in here for, and that's why, you know, I was elected. I beat out my, you know, person and another. We almost had a three-way, you know, because of this. But I love the presentation. I love your speech. You got a lot of information out to us, which means a lot. As far as the rules, I see a few things I would like to.
Well, we aren't finishing any.
Yeah,
rules.
we're not finishing nothing, but, there's a few things that I see on the rules I would like to, discuss with the rest of the council as far as, the verbiage on here, but it's a great start, great. I'm glad to see we got something on black and white. Just makes a big difference. I expect that from my employees, when they present something to me, and I really like the fact that it come to us in this format now. I'll be truthfully honest, I am a little shocked that the three of us didn't get more emails and phone calls. I mean, realistically, I got one text and one phone call. And I think we all got the same emails. So it was really shocking that, out of 5,000 plus people, I didn't hear from anybody on the committee, which that really shocked me. To call and just talk. I do that when I'm trying to bid out a job. I try to talk to people, don't email, don't nothing. I want to talk to people and get, a feel of where we're at. And, I was really shocked that, I got one text, I got one email or one phone call and four emails. That shocked me. But I do like where we're going with this, so.
I will say, personally, I think there's a huge breakdown in communication. However you want to look at it, I think I've challenged all of us on the council, myself included, in 2025 and going forward, that we get better communicating on what's going on. Not only, I go back to the whole Grand Ave situation. There was a lot of information that was out there that wasn't provided to the fresh council members on what was going on, and then we're in the same ballpark here again. Just because it was already in the works, or you guys already had all this stuff kind of going on before I got in this chair, doesn't mean I know what you guys are doing. And I would hope that we're getting a lot better as the year goes on, I think, and I think we have more improvement to make on this.
I would just ask that, as a council, you've requested that we get the agenda packets out to you on Thursdays, which has worked really well, I
Right.
think. So it gives you a little extra time. If you notice things like, hey, can we have somebody from the dog park committee at this meeting to
Right.
answer some questions we have? I'm concerned about the rules or anything like that, because we're here 8 to 4, Monday through Friday, and we are happy to get you guys that
Right.
information.
And I've leaned on you and Tim a ton, and you
Yeah.
guys have taught me a lot and got me up to speed on a lot of things that wasn't necessarily gonna be something I was gonna come across on my own, and
Sometimes it helps us because we're not
Right.
necessarily, like, I didn't anticipate the fence
Right.
was gonna be an issue. We could have had probably a lot of this information
Right.
for you at that meeting had we, known
Right.
ahead of time, so.
and that's what I mean by the communication
Yeah.
being broke down. And then, just looking at the dog park rules, I think we got a pretty strong baseline here. I think you guys have done a good job on that. There's, like Brian had said, there's a couple of things in here that I would be interested in discussing at a later time to figure out how some of this is gonna make sense. I mean, Independence charges fees, but Dyersville doesn't seem to really, what side of the spectrum are we gonna be on that? And then, the registering, the top line right now, it says should be registered with the city. If we have a QR code or something where we could register them for a 3-day fee or whatever we're gonna do, just a couple questions on that kind of stuff, but.
Yeah, those are things we can work through
Right.
when we know what the questions
And-
are ahead of time, that we can prepare for them and demonstrate what we've got available or what we're working on, so we have. those.
Right,
Part of this, again, we were able to purchase a fence, lock it in,
right,
get purchase price down, so we know in the spring we'll be putting up, but we have a couple months to get things prepared, but we don't know what the questions are, what concerns you may have.
right.
It's hard for us to address them.
And I would have preferred to have tabled the situation rather than a no vote because of the bad information that was passed from that.
Can I mention that in that instance, there's a motion and a second to approve something. Someone can sit there and say, is there a friendly amendment where we can table this to the next meeting so we can get some additional information based on this?
Mhm.
And that would be something where the motion and the second person and sit there and say, yes, they were willing to amend their motion to table it as opposed to
Okay.
approving the purchase. And that would be a better way to do that. Again, if they didn't know we were gonna table it or take action, you're kind of stuck.
Right.
So, if you're not ready to take action, maybe, can we do a friendly amendment to table it?
And I wasn't aware of that ability, and I understand we were just voting on a fence, last council meeting, but I think if we buy the fencing and then all of this goes south and we don't do a dog park, now we have a fence that we paid for no reason.
Well,
That was the way I had looked at it. I wish,
my concern is these people have raised all this money. What are you gonna do with the money? $70,000 that they've raised already. And I totally get the fact that you guys were not involved with some of this stuff that
Right.
happened at the very beginning. But like I had said, it went back, I think even the Dream Committee, it was part of the Dream Committee many, many years ago. It was of a public input that was done with good to great. It didn't take teeth. When I got elected, we brought back the Keep Beautiful Iowa Beautiful thing, and we had a room full of people that night. And that's when it took root this time, and we actually had the momentum to keep it going, and we were able to find those things happen. So, I mean, you guys are really good about getting information for things all the time. I mean, you're always out there doing that. I don't know if anybody asked anybody, well, who's on the dog park committee and who can I talk to? That you actually did you get reached out to? Anybody?
I don't even know who's on
Okay,
I don't.
well, you could have asked some of us
Yeah.
and we could have told you.
it.
So
I wasn't aware.
communication goes both ways, is
Right,
what I'm
I
saying.
agree, I agree 100%. I think we
So,
all need to
And, you know, just because, no offense, Brian, you were elected, but every person in this room is one of those people who voted.
Yeah, I totally
Okay.
understand. You,
Okay.
that's far enough. I heard
Okay,
it.
all right.
I heard you.
So anyway, but yes, I hope that we can, in the future, be better that way too. It goes both ways. Okay, so are we willing to make a motion to let them go forward with their purchase of their fence?
I move to approve.
I will second that.
Okay,
He said, and he seconded because he was on the.
Yeah,
So this is just a motion to approve the purchase of the dog fence.
we are putting the down payment down on that fence,
Okay.
basically purchasing the fence. The second portion will be paid when it is installed.
Can I friendly ask you not to second and let me second it, just so that there's not any concerns with
I withdraw my second.
just
that's fine.
the question? I
I'm fine.
just don't want there to be any.
I'm cool with that. Yep, go for it. All right, so I got a motion and a second.
That's
All
my,
right, Linda,
Yes.
Joe,
yes.
Mary Ann,
Yes.
Brian,
Yes.
and Bill.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody, for joining.
And I wanted to extend an apology to the dog park on the lack of communication going both ways.
Yeah.
I can extend an arm out and ask a question just as simple as you guys can. It just caught me off guard, so. I apologize. and-
Joe, you were at two of our fundraisers.
Yeah, and I hadn't realized that this was coming to the agenda as fast as it was. I thought this was already a done deal, so I didn't do anything.
Brian had our rules.
Have the rules.
You did a bid for signage that I sent you in October at your business.
Really?
Mhm. Yeah, but it's all good.
All good.
Thank you
All right.
very much.
All right, thank you. Our next item is item 6.2. We need a motion to approve the site plan for the proposed A1 mobile storage development to be constructed at the end of Commerce Court. Can you speak to that?
Yeah, A1 mobile storage has submitted their site plan, planning zoning commission has reviewed. The only additions the planning zoning commission had was they'd like to see some trees added to that site plan because they didn't show any landscaping within that. So, they did present a plan with an addition of 13 trees. 13 trees. So, there's a little bit of it, but, it is, unless council has questions on the site plan itself.
As far as the landscaping and trees go, I know that we did a deal with, the DNR guy came in a while back about at least a tree every time you build a new house or something. Do we have anything?
Our landscaping ordinance only applies to screening if it's a higher use against a lower use, i.e. Industrial versus residential, so they're backing up next to each. each other, but when it's industrial and industrial next to each other, there's not a requirement for screening, so therefore the landscaping requirement that we have is not there. But we're wanting to encourage to replace the number of trees we're losing due to maple blight and the emerald ash borer. There's a lot of stuff going on, so it'd be nice to re-canopy the community.
Right, I just didn't know if maybe down the road we could look at something as far as when we come up with one of these deals here, we can.
It's already been in discussion,
Yeah.
but the, was it PNC?
P&Z, yes.
PNC talked about that already.
And we do try to encourage new residential developments when we have grants to plant new trees with the new house. We'll provide the tree
Mhm.
through these grants to try to get things moving forward.
I think with that one, they were trying to figure out what was the appropriate amount. Isn't
Yeah.
that correct? Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, part of the challenge we run into is some of the grants that are available, through Line Energy or, Black Hills, it requires proof that that is actually providing shade to a structure for energy efficiency, which means we can't plant them in the park now, because there's not a building that we're providing energy efficiency to.
Oh, really?
And so there's also a question if it's in the right of way, you know, how close to the building are you? On the east side of the building where the energy efficiency in the afternoon is not going to be there.
Mhm.
So they've put in some more limitations on it, which will cause some more issues.
Fun stuff.
Okay. If there's no more questions on that, I take a motion to adopt or to approve the
Site plan.
site plan, please.
I move to approve the site plan for any one story.
Any other questions? Linda,
Yes.
Brian,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Mary Ann.
Yes.
Okay. Next, I need a motion to approve the payment to Joe Hildebrand. It's request number 2 in the amount of $341,832.69 for work completed on the West Side Estates subdivision project.
This is a final closeout on that project for his project out there for the subdivision.
This road in up there.
It does, it's in,
I drove it. Yeah. it's nice.
it's paved, it's been inspected, Jason Linger has, reviewed everything, we're ready to go.
All of his girls' names are out there.
Are they?
Just about. Almost all, yeah, almost.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second that.
Okay. Any further questions? Joe,
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
Linda?
Yes.
Mary Ann?
Yes.
Okay. And next, I need a motion to adopt resolution 138, adopting the United States Department of Transportation Standard Title Six, I can't remember my Roman numerals. Non-discrimination assurances and approving the Title VI non-discrimination agreement with the Iowa Department of Transportation. And what is this?
This is a requirement, from the Iowa Federal Highway Commission that we adopt a non-discrimination policy and assurances. So if we're receiving any federal dollars, we have to have this policy in place. It's a part of the 1964 Civil Rights Act. So what it does, what the resolution does is it appoints me as the administrator. And then assigns the city as compliance as part of this. So for our DOT programs, whether it's SIP funds, the bridge, West Marion Street Bridge that we're talking about, if we get any federal dollars for that, community development block grants, all those grant requirements from the federal government require us to have a Title VI program. And this is so that we're not discriminating based on age, race, national origin. So if someone is Asian American, they're still American, and we're not discriminating based on their race.
And that's as far as us hiring them?
And this is any policy, yes, if we're hiring, when we go out for bids, we cannot discriminate, contractors are bidding. In the airport, if you remember, there is a clause on the, it's a DBE. Define, disadvantaged business enterprise, thank you. So that requires us to meet certain level thresholds where it's female owned, in the neighborhood and stuff like that, so.
We ran into something with that when we did Shelley Park too,
We
with the
did.
bids things.
Yep.
yeah.
Community development block grant, so. It is a policy that every city that gets federal funding has to approve.
So hearing that, I entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to adopt.
I'll second that.
Okay. Bill,
Yes.
Linda?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
Joe? And
Yes.
Mary Ann?
Yes.
Next, in a motion to adopt resolution 139, and that's approving the final assessment schedule for the 2024 East Main Street Improvement Project. And this is to confirm the levy assessments. And I don't think everybody get a chance to look at those.
There's not any, real changes in the numbers compared to when we were talking about
They're all lower than what.
lower.
Yeah.
The only modification is for Bobens, and that is a voluntary because they extended it sanitary sewer. And they signed off on a voluntary agreement to pay for that sewer extension.
I have a spreadsheet that compares the assessments preliminary to final. I can email out to the council just so you can see. I usually like to put that together to see how they fall.
But they're happy to know it's lower than it could be, have been.
Okay, I'm just looking for a motion and a second.
I move to approve.
I'll second.
Okay. Any further questions or comments? Linda?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Mary Ann?
Yes.
Brian?
I'd say it's-
And Bill?
Yes.
Next, we have engineering updates. You wanna go first, Brian?
Just a little update on the bridge stuff. We dug into that some further. It's been 4 years since we submitted that request, or the city did, and looked at funding, so we're breaking that down a little more detail there, so at your next meeting, we should have a fairly itemized budget estimate to show our anticipated cost with current bid prices versus 4 years ago, so. I believe, and Tim and I will have to follow up, I think you get up to 1.5 million, was that your
Correct.
understanding too?
That would be
So
federal funds.
that'd be federal funded, so it'll probably take a good chunk of that. We're looking right now at doing replacement of the expansion joints, repairing the ends of all the beams underneath the bridge, and then resurfacing that deck. And then adjusting the handrail. We looked a little bit at widening the sidewalks, but I think structurally and cost wise, that's not gonna be real cost effective. But we might be able to bump those sidewalks out to use the full 5 foot that's there by putting the railing on the outside. So those are a few things we're trying to just confirm before we have that budget number, and we're comfortable with that. So there's gonna be enough funding there to cover pretty much the majority of the construction costs.
And that's gonna work on what again?
It'd be West Marine Street for
Great, the redecking.
It'd be resurface or a overlay of the deck.
Yeah.
So the original bridge was built in 1980, and it's got like part of it's concrete deck is a 1/2 inch warming surface.
Right.
It's designed to have another 2 inch overlay put on top. The other thing that's critical right now is the expansion joint on each end where the bridge ties into the abutments. Those have failed over time. Those are some of the causes for the deterioration of the beams, the end of the beams at each end of the bridge there. There's quite a bit of corrosion and falling of the concrete on those beams, so they need to be repaired. And there is some work on the abutments, just doing patching and repair work on the concrete that's 44 years old now. So there's probably, with good repair there, we anticipate another 40 to 50 years on the bridge.
Thank you.
The big thing for us as staff is we want to widen that sidewalk because the issue we're running into is getting our equipment down the sidewalk to do snow removal on. The blade on the riding lawn tractor that we use barely fits. It's hard, we can't get the snow blower, the attachment on there because it's not wide enough. And so for efficiency purposes on our part, we'd like to see that as wide as we can get for the sidewalk, so we'll get our equipment through there.
It's not 5 foot wide now.
It's 4 foot wide opening from the back of the wall, back of the guardrail wall to the base of the railing pad or
The
mounting
attachment.
bracket. So it's actually comes in the rail itself. And also with federal funding, ADA compliance will come into consideration. So if we can maximize that 5 foot, would be fully ADA compliant, and the equipment can get down a lot easier.
That's what I was kind of curious about. We're going 5 foot sidewalks and we're gonna 4 foot.
Yeah, no, we're gonna have to, because again, federal funds will require us to have those considerations. And then on the flip side, you know, we're talking about the workability of that. There has been discussions in the community about lighting that bridge up differently.
Right.
And I think this is where we work with, more for Manchester or Manchester Vitality Group to get a plan together. So when we're looking at this, we know what kind of costs are, and they can work with them to get some funding.
And we have some people on the Keep Iowa Beautiful committee that would like to be part of that again when we start talking about that. Because that was ours, was the lighting and.
Yeah, any other questions?
Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you.
Jason.
So first of all, we just, last week, we got an email from the DOT and the Transportation Alternatives folks. We've got the project number assigned for the Grand Avenue Trail. I'm working through starting to get the concept statement put together, which also is going to involve getting our initial environmental clearances. We've got to go through all the environmental clearances because of federal funding involved. So that's the initial step that we have to go through and get that going. It'll take several months to kind of get through that process, but we're starting that now. Out on Commerce Court, I would anticipate having another pay application for you here at the next meeting, probably to try closing that one out. We have to do a quick walk out there to make sure there wasn't damage. The adjacent property owner had his field plowed from the test plot. They drove through the seeding, drove over the curb, turned around in the street, and also part of the ditch over next to Burrington Road. Brought to my attention by street superintendent on I believe it was the Friday, right, or the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. And then we're also working with the contractor for A1. We'll be taking care of getting the ditch and that detention built out there, so all the drainage flows off of Commerce Court. We've got a good window of opportunity here with some non-freezing temperatures, so Top Grade Excavating is the contractor that's going to be taking care of that for them. So I think that's all I have for an update tonight, unless there's any questions that anybody has.
Thank you, Jason. Okay, Jim.
Nothing to report other than the citations we talked about for nuisance abatement have been filed. They take a while to go through the system before we'll see much. We did get I received, and Aaron may know more, over the last week I received a copy of the bond that EMC is posting and submitting to the court to get rid of the judgment lien that we've been dealing with from the Mormon case. I think it was filed with the court, waiting for a court order. I expect we may get that yet tomorrow, because I think court days are Monday or Tuesday over here. I think they're Monday.
I think they're Monday.
So I would expect we'll get that, and we may have that behind us finally. That's all I have.
Thanks, Jim. Tim.
Just because of the holidays and the way things are falling, I just want to make sure council is aware. Next Monday night, we do have our goal setting at 5 o'clock at Seaver Hall. Just remember that location. If you have not completed your survey, please do so tonight or tomorrow morning. Get that turned in so Mickey can get those compiled. We will have a city council meeting on the 23rd. We have a number of items that we need to take action on. There's 5 Mondays in December, so we will not meet on the 30th. I question whether or not you want to have a committee of the whole meeting on the 6th, because we are going to go into budget work sessions, and we're going to be meeting every Monday night thereafter, starting January 13th, until we get our budget done. And so do you want to meet on the 6th, or do we want to just take,
Why don't we just take that off?
I don't know if there's anything. Maybe.
It's right after where the holiday falls too.
Is,
If anything comes up, we can always
I was just
get a
gonna
hold of
say,
the council and say we need to,
Right.
but.
Yeah.
as far as like department updates or whatever, there's probably not gonna be too much unless we just had.
Not this time of year, and you're gonna have them in front of you on January 20th for the
Right.
budget work sessions, so,
Right. I'm good with passing on
okay.
it. You were looking at me like you're waiting for me.
All right, that's all I have.
Aaron.
Nothing.
Okay, Brian? Linda?
I just want to say a little something about Chili Cook-Off.
Yes, go ahead.
Chili Cook-Off went surprisingly well. We had 6 people bring their crock pots in and we had about 70 votes, so we had a pretty good turnout. So maybe it'll be an annual event. So thank you for everybody that contributed and helped.
And our winners were,
Jesse Peters got first, Leslie Zeller got second, and Ron Ingles got third. So, yeah, so it was a good deal, so.
okay, thank
So,
you.
yeah.
Thank you for handling it because I had to skip out, so I appreciate that. Mary Ann? Nothing? Joe?
I just wanted to say that I went down to the window walk and that lighting over top of the road that looked out, that was nice. That was real sharp. And then hopefully we can do that with the bridge too.
Yeah, we'll do something,
Similar.
I'm not sure how they're gonna, we'll look at different options, and how we'd like that bridge up, whether it's underneath or up below to it, or LED lighting down below.
Right.
Just because of the crisscrossing, how they did that lighting on there, it's a little bit more difficult to string them across the bridge.
Right.
So we'll have some different things we'll have to look at.
Look neat, and everybody that had in, put in stuff for the window walk, thanks. It's great. I enjoy going to it every year, so.
Yep, it was cold this year. I think it had a little effect on the numbers, but it is what it is. Bill?
Nothing.
I'd like to send a thank you to Bill, Mary Ann, and Linda, and Tim, and Aaron, and there's a bunch, Joanne Swenton was here earlier. We had a bunch of people who helped with the movie and getting the, food picked up and everything. We, filled the theater up with just under, we had 30 seats left. I think we, 26,
Only 25 seats.
only 25 seats, awesome. 26 bags of food and $326 in donations for the food bank. So thank you to everybody who helped us with that event as well. And hope everybody's getting all their Christmas shopping done, shop local, and support our town. And again, I see Dean and the Vitalik group, thank you again. Those lights are beautiful down there. Everybody was commenting about them. They're very beautiful, so. And the Christmas tree lighting went really well too.
And we're
Lisa's-
already talking about another section, hopefully next year.
Awesome. Hopefully they found all the Christmas ornaments that blew off the tree.
I think they may be in Delhi.
Yeah, Lisa thought Makokada, she thought they went that far, so anyway. Brian, I want to apologize to you if I went a little too far here tonight, so I apologize for that as well. Anyway, so with that, it's 5:52. I'll take a motion from Linda. So, we are going into closed session.
Yes,
Yes, a motion to go into closed session. Yes, we do have to have a motion to go into closed session.
yes.
Pursuant to code section 2017, paragraph 3, to discuss union negotiations. Do I hear?
Yeah.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, I'll second. All right, we are in closed session. Have a good night, everybody.
Just give me a second.
Oh, I need a vote.
Yes.
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 Okay.
You don't get to leave. I shouldn't be working.
Bye. Okay, at 6:46, we are back in open session and I need a motion to
Adjourn.
adjourn, and I will take that from Brian. Yes, and
Yes.
Linda.
Yes.
And then I need Marion, Joe,
Yes.
go. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're
everybody.
adjourned.